Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 best modifications you can make to improve the ride on your KLR650. Let's get started. So the number 1 modification, and probably the most impactful to my riding, improving off-road especially, is upgraded foot pegs. So these guys are the Adventure 2s from IMS, and they're like just exaggeratedly large. I wear a size 13 boot, so you know I got big clown feet. The factory foot pegs, you know, me trying to stand on them and stay on top of them when I'm off-road was like trying to land a aircraft carrier on a fighter jet. It just, you know, as they say, that dog just wasn't gonna hunt. So get a good set of foot pegs. They don't need to be this enormous, although these are really nice to like stretch out on the highway, and you know, I do recommend these guys for sure. The other thing I like about these giant platforms is they, you know, provide a really good step to hop up onto the bike. It's another thing I really like about them. So get yourself a solid set of foot pegs, and it's really going to improve your riding, off-road especially. You know, good, aggressive foot pegs going to keep your feet from slipping all over the place, and you're really going to be able to put your weight, you know, in the areas that you need to while you're riding off-road. The second modification, this one is, I would say, definitely more of a comfort modification. Now it does add some utility to the bike. And I'm talking about the KLR Dash, this guy right here. So the neat thing about it is, well, number 1, the most important thing that it does is it changes the angle of the windshield. So like on the factory bike, the windshield is it's at like a 45-degree angle. So this thing takes it to like an 80 or almost 90-degree angle. So when you're riding along, there's almost no buffeting. You know, it kind of blasts the air kind of up and over your head, which is the main reason why I was interested in the Dash. I didn't want to do one of the giant, you know, like crazy long windshields. I think it looks like dog shit. So, you know, I did some research, and I found out that the Dash changes the rake, or the angle of the windshield. So, you know, I went with that, and it's, you know, works out really well as far as you know, the desired effect of kind of helping out with the buffeting of the air kind of running around my head. It really makes a difference out on the highway. By and large, that's kind of where it's most useful. The next part, and like I said, the utility portion of this modification is being able to mount things on the actual dash. So all I did was mount a RAM quick mount, I think is what it's called, and I just throw a cell phone on it. It's an old iPhone that I don't use anymore, and I attach it to I tether it to my actual iPhone that I use every day. You know, I tether it through Wi-Fi, and it runs Gaia mostly for tracks and whatnot, but you know, it works like super duper good, and it's a really good alternative to like a $600 purpose-built navigation. And I'm kind of glad that I found out about this thing before I spent the $600 on the, I don't even remember what that thing is called, like the Montana or something. It's you know, super duper expensive navigation unit. So dodged the bullet there, I think. The third modification really is the one that kind of took this bike to the next level as far as riding off-road is concerned. And anybody who's ever ridden one of these guys, sort of, and you can kind of notice it right now, actually, braking real hard on the front brakes there before the turn. Anybody that's ever ridden one of these KLRs knows that when you get on that front brake, the nose tends to dive like a fucking submarine. So I went ahead and I got a set of progressive springs for the front from Progressive. I think the company's called Progressive Springs. When I actually installed them, I pulled out the factory springs, and they're literally just a uniform spring with a steel tube, and they're just real bad. You know, they don't work. I mean, they work, but yeah, they're pretty terrible. So I replaced them with the Progressive springs, and really the notice, you know, it's noticeable in two areas of riding this bike. On the highway, you know, when it gets kind of windy or you get in some dirty air behind a tractor trailer, the front end tends to get a little loose. It'll bounce a little bit and sway a little bit. After I put the stiffer springs in, that disappeared. And even more so off-road, you know, going over a berm or hitting a nasty hole in a trail, this thing would come pretty close to bottoming out. You know, now that I put the Progressive springs on there, that's gone too. And you can see it, you know, there's a little bit of dive, but it used to be so much worse. So the Progressive springs are definitely a comfort modification, just because it makes the bike way more tame on the highway and on the trail. Instead of bouncing all over the, you know, the front end bouncing all over the place, it's much more controlled, much more predictable. That's probably the best way to describe it. The bike becomes way more predictable. So those Progressive springs are 100%, and I think they were like $100. So they're like well worth it, man. And the install process was like 10 minutes. You know, you got to cut some tubes and then literally just pop off those caps and take out the old ones, put in the new ones. They do suggest that you swap the fluid, which is, you know, like a little bit more of a job, but you know, we won't talk about that. So yeah, those are those three modifications, hands down, are going to make your KLR riding experience way more enjoyable. The dash is almost, I mean, it really is a game changer as far as the you know, fatigue, man. Like the wind hitting you while you're riding all day is really what kind of causes that fatigue. So the windscreen at the different angle because of the dash is really what you want. The foot pegs, as far as like comfort on road, you know, these particular ones are so much more comfortable because there's so much more space. And then off-road, you know, they're aggressive and they're large, so you can just put your feet wherever you need to and really control the bike a lot better. And then those Progressive springs, man, they, like I said, they really make the bike predictable on and off-road. So that's it.